Good evening, guys, and happy Saturday to all of your sunshiny faces. I think I told you guys in yesterday's vlog how I would more than likely not have a grocery haul for you guys today because we were going to my aunt's we didn't go to her old place. We went to her new place to help her move in, which was pretty nice. We didn't actually need to move anything in. She had movers to do all of that. We just needed to really get everything put away and set up her furniture, how she wanted it and everything, which the movers actually had offered, like, oh, do you need us to move the furniture around, like where she wanted it. I don't know if they were gonna do like the unpacking and unboxing and all of that stuff, but you know, like that's what we were there for. So we just ended up moving all of her furniture, putting all of her, well, most of her things away that she needed. You know, like her like daily kind of things, like made her bed, made sure she could like get around in her bedroom, you know, like put those kind of things away, help her, you know, like organize her kitchen to some extent. You know, like I said, kind of just get that stuff all put away, taken care of and everything. So we ended up helping her with that today, and that's why I told you guys we were not going to have a grocery haul for you guys, because we ended up going, well, initially the plan was we were going to go sometime in the morning. We weren't exactly sure of the time. Originally, I think she'd said to meet us at her old place around 9 or 10 o'clock, and then we were going to go over to her new place. Like, we were going to follow my aunt, like I think it was both of my aunts and my uncle both ended up going, and then possibly they ended up meeting us over there, but they were gonna drive over there. We were gonna follow them. That was the initial plan, and then they were like, well, let's just give you the address and you can just come over, because they need any help moving anything, because all of the movers were doing that. My aunt already had everything packed. She'd been packing for a while, so we just ended up all going over to her new place and helped her today with that, which was just really fun, like, because my other aunt was there, her cousin. So again, to my aunt, it's my grandma's sister, and then their cousin was also there as well, who is like also my aunt. But she was also there, and me and her were putting away like all the kitchen stuff, and it was just really fun to get to hang out with her, because I don't get to see her like all that often. We went over to her house for Christmas this year. We went over once. The first time I actually saw her new house, because she lived at like the same house for a really long time, like when I was growing up, and then she like recently, within the last handful of years, ended up moving into like a smaller, like, I don't know that it's a duplex, it might be, but like a smaller like retirement community kind of thing, and then she lives there, and I'd never seen like that place, but we went one time, maybe it was over the summer, or maybe it was like late, like early spring or something like that, or maybe like at some point last year. I don't remember when. I remember it kind of being cooler out or cold out when we went, but it wasn't like the last winter. It must have been like the winter before that, or like the spring, something like that. So we ended up like seeing her place. I think that's like been really the only time in the last like year that I've seen her. It's just those few times, and maybe we saw her like maybe at a birthday party or something like that. I think she was at maybe my aunt and uncle's house once for somebody's birthday, and then she was at you know, like I said, we went over to her house for Christmas this year. But just getting to hang out with her, even though again too, we were like working, putting all the, you know, dishes and things like that, and pantry things, and you know, all that kind of stuff away, you know, just working on that stuff. Like, just getting to hang out with her was kind of fun, because for the most part it was just me and her in the kitchen. Like, everybody else was like putting away the other stuff, and you know, like working on that, because the kitchen stuff was like the first stuff I think that they really brought in. So it was like we just kind of started working from there, and it wasn't until like eventually the movers actually left that we were able to start like putting everything else away. So it was just me and her in the kitchen. The kitchen was also pretty small, so there wasn't a lot of room for like a lot of people in there to all be like putting stuff away all at the same time. So after the movers left, we ended up doing lunch, which we ended up bringing, I told you guys we did the sloppy joes. I made the massive thing of sloppy joes, which we still had a decent amount. Like, we'll probably, everybody will have sloppy joes for dinner tomorrow. There'll probably be leftovers. We might freeze like a pound or two. I don't think we had that much left over, like maybe a pound of ground beef. After that, we could probably still freeze for a future dinner. So I think overall we did pretty well as far as like the estimate for sort of how much we needed. I think we did fairly well. And we also left my aunt with extra sloppy joe so that she could have it for dinner too. So overall that ended up working out really well. And then we ended up after the movers left, and after we had the dinner, or not, it wasn't dinner, it was like lunch, like a mid-lunch kind of thing. It was like a late lunch, but it wasn't really dinner yet, because we'd left by 4 o'clock, I think. So we had lunch maybe around 1 or 2 or something like that. And then the time spent after that, we ended up getting all the furniture moved. And my aunt too, who was there, was like really helpful. She was like, okay, we're gonna start with, let's get all the big furniture pieces like moved around first, and you know, just kind of like lay out what stuff fits best where, and then after that we can start kind of delving into the boxes. We didn't get everything put away today because my aunt had a lot of stuff, but you know, she was moving from I forget exactly what my other aunt was saying, like that her entire new place is like a half of like what's like her main floor was, or something like that. Like this space was significantly less, and although she ended up leaving a lot of like the big furniture things and you know, that kind of stuff, she still had a lot of other like box things, like, you know, smaller stuff. Some of the stuff was like things that had to go on the wall, which we weren't doing today anyway, and you know, again too, some of the stuff that needed to, like, that was like decorative things, and you know, like that kind of stuff that over time you just kind of figure out where you want, and you know, like what's gonna go where. Like we put like lamps out and like that kind of thing, and there's like some decorative stuff that, you know, like we knew that like, oh, she'd want this, like, you know, like a jewelry box or something, you know, like that kind of stuff, like that would be in her bedroom. But some of the other more like decorative type things, we didn't end up having at, you know, like, or unpacking. It was just kind of more of her necessities and things like that. So we got kind of all of that somewhat taken care of for today. And we didn't, like, my dad, I know, is going back over there to put her lamp, like, or not her lamp, her overhead light. I think she wants it like over the dining table. He's coming to like move that, so he has to move that though from the old place to the new place. And then she had like her TV isn't like mounted yet, which I think that the maintenance people, like somebody was there moving something like when we first got there. I don't know if he was like moving, like maybe mounting blinds or something like that, like when they first got there, but he might end up like hanging stuff possibly. Or I think she has like a cleaning service that she had that I don't know if she's having like clean anything anymore, but they also do like kind of some other stuff too, like household kind of stuff too, like hang pictures, like that kind of stuff. I think she was saying she was gonna have them do that, like, you know, again, have them hang all of her photos, and not photos, but just like anything that like wall hangings and that kind of stuff. So again too, that wasn't really anything that we needed to take care of today, but we ended up getting her kind of all moved in and situated, beds made, furniture at least generally in the location that it probably will be. And like that's the thing too, is when you move into a new place originally, especially if you're moving with like furniture from an existing place, you kind of have to figure out like the feel to it and kind of how things are meshing and fitting. Because we had the couch in one direction, like when they first put it in, it was like in one spot, and we were like, well, the TV is actually like the hookup for the TV was on one wall, so we were like, well, let's move the couch over here just to kind of create like this sort of natural barrier in the living room and the dining room. And it didn't flow really well. And so, and it was like kind of close to like the I think it was like the maintenance door. So I actually suggested, I was like, why don't we put the couch this way? And so like after like a little while of again playing with some of the furniture, we ended up like getting that all situated. But like that's kind of the thing too, when you're moving into a new place, it's like it might take you a couple weeks, and then finally you're like, I don't like how this is, you know, I kind of want this over here, I want this over there, or you know, like I want to move this around, or whatever it is. You know, you kind of get a feel for the space and realize like this isn't really what I liked. I'm kind of feeling the same way a little bit about moving just into the room next door. I'm like kind of like, I don't know if I'm gonna like having my bed like this way versus that way. Like I've had my bed in the same spot in the same room for the last 10 years. So to like move to a different room, and then also too to have it kind of oriented differently, like I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it that way. You know, I don't know if I'm gonna like it where it's gonna be, or the furniture or the flow of the room like as much. So you know, that's just kind of the thing you have, you know, to deal with, I guess, when moving into a new place, is figuring out that kind of flow of, you know, like I said, a new space, and how your furniture, you know, you can see a space, but then you don't know really how well it's going to work until you see the furniture that you have in that space as well. So whereas you could be like, oh yeah, this is perfectly fine for like a table, and then you realize like it's way too big of a table or something like that. It's funny though too, because my aunt's space, it actually, like the table that she had felt kind of small for like what was sort of like the dining room space. Like like, you know, it's kind of this open floor plan, but like where her dining table was, it just felt a little small to me. It felt like a bigger table could fit there, but again too, it gave her a little bit more of the living room space, which felt like it flowed better when we ended up moving the furniture around. So all in all, I think everything ended up working out. It's just like I said, you know, when you move into a space, you think like, oh, my dining table is going to be too big, and she actually got there and it felt very small for the space, sort of, whereas the living room furniture kind of felt like there was a lot and there wasn't that much room actually for really the living room furniture. You know, or not that there wasn't enough room, but it just like the initial kind of layout of how it was didn't really flow that well. So now again too, we got everything kind of worked out. It's just, that's kind of the stuff you have to deal with when you're moving and figuring that out. You could have it kind of laid out too in your mind, but when you get there, it's just like, oh, this doesn't work out like I wanted it to. So it was really nice to be able to get to move my aunt in today, you know, again, along with hanging out with everybody and, you know, being with family and stuff. So anyways, I'll see you guys all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye guys.